Welcome everyone to Coffee and an Interview. I'm Jacqueline Pena, and I'm here today with Suzanne Butler from Harmonizing Energies Feng Shui. If you look at her website, it says enhance your home's energy, and we can all use a little energy enhancement in our homes. So I want to turn it over to Suzanne Butler to introduce herself, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about the space you're working in, which is not new, but it was a fad for a while. We were talking about that recently, and it's making a comeback because it's so important. So you work in this Feng Shui consultancy space, and you're an expert in classical flying stars Feng Shui. Tell us a little bit about that and what is that?
Okay, so most people, when they think of feng shui, they think it's about moving furniture or painting walls or, just random stuff. That's all well and good, but it's not doing anything to adjust the actual energy in your home. Each area of your home has a certain energy, and it's that energy which is what creates things in your life, whether it's positive or negative. So if you've moved into a new home and all of a sudden you start losing money, or you can't get ahead, or you lose a job, or your health plummets, it's nothing you're doing. It's literally the energy of your home that's creating it. So what we do with Flying Stars is I do a series of calculations based on the footprint of the home, the date it was constructed, or potentially when you moved in. There's a number of different ways we can do it. Nothing is perfect. We sometimes have to test and measure. And from that, the house will tell me a story. And if you're moving into somewhere, the best way to get that really quickly is to find out why the people before you moved. If they've moved because they couldn't afford the house, they were getting divorced, then it's probably not a property I would recommend anyone moving into, because that energy is not great. But if they're moving on in a prosperous manner, like they're downsizing because they're retiring to a really nice retirement home, or they're upsizing because their family's growing, then that's a prosperous way. So there'll be an okay place to purchase. But that said, we can adjust anything. It's just not going to be perfect. So my apartment that I live in is far from perfect. And I didn't discover this until I came back from overseas after 6 weeks and walked in, and everything felt off. Because I can actually feel the energy. I can actually feel it. And it felt completely off. And based on some different calculations I ran, I had to readjust, and it completely turned around the type of apartment I'm in, and explained why certain things were going on for me. So I just want to remind people or inform people that if you're trying really hard to get ahead and nothing is working, it is not you. It is your home, and we can fix it. We can change it around, and we can make it a very, very prosperous home for you. Just need to tweak it with some elements. And the elements we use are not things like money frogs or putting a water feature in, which we do water features, but only in particular areas. Each home is very specific and different to the next. So your neighbor's house will probably be very different to yours. And we place wood, metal, fire, water, or earth, depending on the prescription I run. And that's what balances the energies, either harmonizing them or reducing the bad or enhancing the good.
Interesting.
Actually, when you know what you're doing, it's actually a very, very easy process. And it's an easy process for my clients because I walk it through with them. But it's not, there's no guesswork. There's no, what should I put here? I tell you what to put here. And some of my clients are having results and within hours of implementing what I tell them to implement. It's absolutely amazing what people can actually bring in once everything's balanced.
It's very interesting. I'm curious. I want to use you as a case study, or if you want to use a client without giving away personal information. But you talked about when you left the country for a few weeks and came back, the energy was off and you made some changes. So if we use you as a case study, what were like
Yep.
three major changes you did in one space for us to kind
Yeah.
of visualize the kind of work that it took for you to transform that energy?
Yeah. So originally I thought this apartment was what we would call a good for people, sorry, bad for people, good for money property. And good for people means that things are good. Doesn't matter what you do, you're happy, relationships are good, health is pretty good, that sort of thing. When it's bad for people, the opposite can happen. When it's good for money, you've always got money. It does not matter what job you have. Money is fruitful. You might not have a lot of it, but it's always there. You might not, you might have bills coming in, but you know you can always pay them. Like you might not have a lot left at the end, but you know you can pay them. So it's good for money in that respect. You might get a windfall. You might get a pay rise. You might get a promotion. When it's bad for money, it does not matter what you do. You will not be able to get money. And you'll get bills after bills. You might get fines. You might lose your job. You might, any manner of things that could create money problem. But when money becomes a problem, then obviously relationships can become a problem because money is one of the biggest stresses. So a lot of people will think that, oh no, my house is bad for money and bad for people. It's like, no, your money is causing you so much stress. It's then leaking over into relationships. Your property is actually good for people. It's just bad for money. So that was the first thing I noticed, that I'd gone from bad for people to good for people and bad for money. And I'm also in a money lock for 12 months. So when the energies change in the Chinese New Year in February, that lock will disappear. So it still will be difficult, but not as difficult as what it has been this year for me. And even though I've put what I've needed to in place, it's still having a great effect. So money for me has not been great this year, but that is also compounded by my Chinese zodiac, which is also not supportive for me this year. But I'm a horse, and it's not a good year for horses financially. So I've had all these things compound to create what this year is, but you just keep going. You just keep working through it. So that was the first thing I had to do, is I had to place water on the outside of my house to help bring water in. So you go to Vegas, for example,
Mhm.
and you know the Bellagio Hotel. Do you know why they've got that big fountain out the front?
Well, it's beautiful. So I always thought it was as entertainment.
It's not by accident.
Mm.
It's to bring people in. It's to bring money in. So water on the outside of a property can bring money in, but too much water on the inside of a property can send money out. So if you've got a lot of aquariums, if you've got rooms that are blue, or you've got a lot of water themed things in your home, have a look at your money situation, because you might be sending money out.
So
So that's one thing.
I need to build a pond outside my home. That's what you're saying.
Maybe, but maybe not. It's literally every house is very different. You might not need water. You might need mountain, which is then supporting the people inside. So there's sort of the things that I had to change. Then on the inside, I had to move remedies around. I needed a bit more fire than what I had in previously. But as soon as I did it, and I sat on the couch, I felt this massive like exhaustion just come over me. And that was the energy shift. And the next morning when I walked out into my lounge room, I just stood there and go, oh my God, this feels amazing. The energy when your house is feng shui is soft. It just feels good. And like a big warm hug as soon as you walk through the door. And the closest way I can explain it, and I love this analogy because I do it myself. You know, when you do a really deep clean of your kitchen, you've pulled everything off the countertops, you've wiped everything down, there's nothing in the dishwasher, there's nothing in the sink, everything is spotless. You've washed the floors, all the cupboards have been wiped down. and you stand there and you look at it. It is a thing of beauty. That's the only way I can explain it. That's how Feng Shui feels all the time.
Wow.
It's just, yeah.
Oh,
So it's not about guesswork. It's not about putting trinkets around. It's not about painting walls. It's literally adjusting the energy to support you. And when you do that, you can create absolute magic. You can bring anything in you want. I've had clients that have finally done what I've told them to do. And like this is after 18 months, they've actually done what I told them to do. And she rings me and she says, so I did what you told me to do in the office. So I went, yeah. She said, my accountant rang us out of the blue yesterday. I said, okay. She said, we're getting $180,000 pay rise. I went, yep, that doesn't surprise me. Of course you are. I've had another client that got a 25% pay rise and a promotion. I've had clients that have won awards. I've had clients that have attracted the interest of influencers and have exploded their business like 10x within weeks because of affiliate work. So we don't know what it will do, but it will do something. And for the most part, it's pretty amazing what it actually does bring in. I had one client that wanted to burn a house down. She hated it so much. And then loves her space now. So it could be small or it could be absolutely monstrous, but anything is possible.
sounds like a very strategic process. I know you're saying it's not about putting trinkets here or just moving furniture. It's very intentional. It's there's an analysis first. Everything that's done is
Yeah.
strategic as part of
Yeah.
this Feng Shui process. So it's not like we can just get a manual that is all size fits all. It
This
really is a
here,
lot of spaces.
this here is one of my remedies. It's a ceramic balloon dog. It's fire. It's a fire remedy. This is one of my remedies. It sits here on my desk. Why did I use it? Because it's cute. And I've got a few other red things, but this is suiting what I need it for.
You just answered one of my questions because I was going
Yeah,
to ask you how do you mentioned bringing more fire in. I was wondering
this
how
is
you do
another
it.
remedy.
Huh.
Plant. So and metal is literally metal. I've got baskets around here with weight discs sitting, weight plates sitting in it. It's incredibly simple. I give people the easiest way and the quickest way of doing it. That's not going to cost them a lot of money. It's simple because we need to make it simple. Life should be simple.
Mhm.
So why should we struggle to get there?
And we do. We do. Sometimes we just make it more complicated on ourselves. Sometimes we don't have the tools and the knowledge
Yeah.
to.
Like everyone goes and they get Reiki done, they get kinesiology, they go to counseling, they use coaches, all sorts of things. But what they're forgetting, you spend so much time in an environment. And if that environment is not supporting you, then it won't matter what you do. You can go off and have your Reiki. And as soon as you walk back into this environment, you're going to go back to what you're in. You go on a holiday or a vacation and you have a wonderful time and you don't want to go home. Why don't you want to go home? It's not because you're on vacation, you want to stay on vacation all the time. It's because you're dreading going back into an environment that's going to be creating fights, arguments, children carrying on. It's a struggle. That's why you don't want to go home. And no one is honest enough with themselves to admit that that possibly is the problem. Well, they don't know even. They don't even know that that's the problem. So I'm just trying to educate people to get them to understand that it's not what they're doing or not doing. It's literally their home is not supporting them. Like this apartment, I've got to move in June or possibly earlier. It's been sold. But I'm okay with that because it's not supportive of me. It brings up areas of serious disease. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I've been in a flare since I moved in. It's no surprise to me. I've got it under control now, finally, but it's no surprise because I had the disease already.
Mhm.
It's amplified it. Doesn't matter what I need to do to I could put as much metal as I needed to in that area. I've already got it. It's going to amplify. So it's made me really have a look at when I'm dating, look, dating for a boyfriend, partner, whatever you want to call it. But it made it very clear to me that whoever I date needs to be a very supportive person.
Mm.
Because if I go into one of those flares again, I need someone who will be able to see that I'm in pain and look after me, be able to, take the dog out, be able to cook a meal, just give me that space to be able to rest and recuperate and get through it. That was my lesson for moving in here.
Um,
So that everything is a lesson. Nothing happens to you, it happens for you, you know?
yep.
Everything is a lesson, and feng shui helps you move through um, all these things a lot easier than trying to navigate by yourself. Whether it's a separation, whether it's health problems, whether it's career issues, it helps you be clearer in decision making and moving through any potential challenge. I've proven it. I test the measure. I test everything myself before I test it on clients because I want to see what it'll actually do. And what it does is quite amazing. It's just constantly going up. I constantly test it to prove it wrong, and it keeps proving me right. So it's magic.
Strategic magic.
Strategic magic. Yeah.
Because it's very intentional work. I love something that you just said. You said nothing happens to you, it happens for you, and learning lessons. And in the work you've been doing with Feng Shui, you've been learning a lot about yourself and making adjustments, learning something else, making another adjustment, and trying to make the home work for you. I thought that was beautiful how you talked about the home needs to support you. A lot of times we set these goals for ourselves thinking we're going to improve our situations, and the goals are external of the home. So it might be, do more of this, do Reiki, do this other, do this other. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
there was an echo. Doing a Reiki or doing this other thing, and then we come back to the house, and the things that are the issue are still there. The home is not supporting us. So we're doing all these other things, but we're coming home. You and I talked about boundaries before we started the interview, and I'm working on boundaries. But if I don't set those boundaries and create the space to support me in the house, I can talk boundaries in the office. I can talk boundaries here. I can do a lot of stuff. But when I come home, I'm still in this negative place, and it's not good for me
Yeah.
healthily. So it's really looking at the home as part of the formula. What a great way to come up with goals for the new year or for your birthday, and thinking about how you could create a more supportive home through Feng Shui. Like it's a great goal to look at for the year.
Yeah. Well, and that's why with my vision, I have a vision boarding um, sort of workshop, online workshop, and it's based on feng shui because it's all about balance. And most people, when they do a vision board, they'll find 5 or 6 pictures of things that they think that that's what they would like. There is no intention, there is no um, thought put in that they've seen a photo of something. Oh, I want that in my life. Well, how are you going to get? How are you going to get it? I'm in a particular group on Facebook, and it's about manifesting. And I've always been a manifester. I've always made things happen. And I've found out now I'm actually under human design. I'm a generator, which makes sense because things just come to me. I just wait for it to come. So when I'm pushing, that's when things don't happen for me. I have to just receive is how I manifest. People say, oh, well, you don't need to take action. Well, you do need to take action. You can't create a life you want if you're just going to sit on your couch and do nothing. How are you going to get there? You need to have steps. And having your house supporting you makes it clearer to work out what you want. But then doing the vision boarding in this way, every aspect of your life. So it works on the 9 grid Fagua, which covers love and relationships, career, fame and reputation, family, spirituality, travel, and helpful people, new beginnings, so things you want to learn and do. We've got wealth and abundance and health. So if you'll find when you sit down and work out each of those areas, things will actually overlap. They're the things that are really important to you. Because if they're overlapping on a number of different aspects of your life, then that's a really powerful want for you. So that's what you put on your vision board.
Mm.
But if your house is in every aspect is supporting you, it's going to make it a lot easier for that happen. Otherwise, it's just a wish. If you're not going to take action, if you're not going to be very intentional, it's just a wish.
Yeah.
You need to take action. You need to be intentional. And that's what I found. You know, I've managed to have some amazing opportunities come to me over the last 10 years. I've managed to get rid of toxic relationships. I've managed to do a lot of healing on myself, childhood trauma. I've made some amazing connections and friends. I've been able to remove people from my life because they're not at all supportive of me and supportive of what I'm wanting to bring into the world. So it made it very clear, like you're saying, boundaries. I know what my moralistic boundaries are now, and no one crosses them ever. I've cut off this year probably 20 people because their behavior has been that appalling to me. I don't want anything to do with them. I don't deal with drama. It's none of my business what you're doing. I could not care less what you're doing unless you're hurting someone. Not my business. I'm not here to comment on anybody's life. I've got bigger things to worry about in my own. So I've been able to just get very clear on so many aspects of my life. Dating has become easier because I'm not accepting poor behavior. I know what my manifesto for love is. I know what my manifesto for getting my next property that I live in. I'm creating everything in my life how I want it to look. There's nothing's left but chance. I'm setting the intention, I'm setting affirmations, and I'm creating it. And my home is supporting me. Even though, yeah, health issues and stuff like everything is balanced to be able to support me to make decisions and work through stuff. So it works.
Very interesting. You talked about a couple of things that are popping out for me. So the vision board aspect, I love that you talked about action-based because I think a lot of us think about visions and goals and things of that sort, but we forget the actions, the steps that will get us to the finish line. And I like that the vision board aspect of what you do includes that piece, focuses on that. You mentioned, and then the other thing that was interesting, you mentioned the word manifesto a couple of times, just now. Tell me a little bit more about this manifesto. What do you mean by that concept?
Yeah. So it's creating, so I created a journal because people, I feel that there's lots of journals out there about manifesting. It all starts with gratitude. So being grateful for what you currently have enables you to then bring in bigger things. Because if you're not even grateful for what you currently have, then why is the universe going to give you anything else? It's just not going to happen. So in this journal, it explains what a goal is, what an intention is, and what an affirmation is. And they're three very different things. A goal is a wish. It's a nice thing to have. I really struggle with goal setting because I never actually know what I want day to day. I'm very aware that I suffer from shiny object syndrome. So goal setting for me is actually very, very difficult. But you've got your goal, which is a wish. Then you've got your intention, which is, well, you're intending to do it by X date. So you're setting yourself a target. But where it really comes together is your affirmation. And your affirmation is a story of it already happening and how it made you feel and what the sky looks like and what you were doing at the time and what you're able to do. So quick analogy, The goal, I want to learn how to ride a motorbike. That's nice. When's that going to happen? The intention, I intend on getting my motorbike license by the 31st of January 2024. That's your intention. But your affirmation is, I am so grateful that I have achieved my goal of getting my motorbike license by the 31st of January 2024. I picked up my new Ducati Monster bike from the dealership today. I've gone on this amazing ride, felt the wind on my face. The corners were incredible. The weather was outstanding. It was a perfect day for a ride. How'd that make you feel? You could feel that, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Getting the affirmation that you've already achieved it, that's the action. That's how you get to achieving the goal, is a story, putting the passion and the, if you can think about it and you can imagine it, then you can make it happen. But putting an Hermes bag on a vision board, okay, how are you getting that? How is that happening? Where are you
Mm-hmm.
getting the money from? What are the steps you're taking to get that back? Are you going to win it in a competition? Is someone buying it for you? Are you going to earn a heap of money? Are you going to get a windfall? Are you going to win lotto? How are you getting that back? So it's planning it out to manifest what it is. We're always manifesting. If you go to the supermarket and you're in the car park and you went, oh, I wish there was a car park out the front. There's one. You've just manifested it. It's not chance. Nothing is a coincidence. We're constantly manifesting things we're not even conscious about. What happened the other day? Something happened. I thought to myself, I wanted something. I can't remember what it was. I wouldn't mind. Like when when you're on Facebook and you've been talking to someone, oh, Facebook's listening. Facebook isn't listening. You're consciously or subconsciously manifesting that particular thing to come up in your feed, right? It could be anything. Thinking to yourself, oh, I wouldn't mind going on a vacation to, I don't know, the Galapagos. You haven't mentioned it to anyone. How is it currently on your feed? Because you've manifested it. Subconsciously, you've manifested it without any effort. So we're constantly manifesting. And like people will say, oh, how do I manifest? Well, you are already manifesting. It's not something you turn off. But your thought processes around it is what stops you bringing what it is you want in a lot of the time. So if you're in a negative mind frame, that's why bad things keep happening, because you believe they're going to keep happening. Whereas if you're in a good mind frame, and you don't have to be there all the time, I have my down days like everybody else. It's being able to pull yourself out of it and get back into that high vibe, or be a consistent vibe. Can't be up here all the time. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I do not believe anyone who says they're high vibe all the time. I will call them out. You're bullshitting. You can't possibly be. You have to be midway, just a constant all the time. Have a dip now and then, maybe up high a bit, but try and keep yourself constant.
What you're talking about now is energy. Energy is so important in this whole process. And I want to go back to the affirmation because I love that as a motivator. It's very easy for us to manifest something and think about the steps to get there, have this vision board set up, but we lose our motivation, a little hiccup, a little obstacle, a little barrier, and we just might not keep working towards it. And that affirmation process where you're envisioning yourself living that manifestation, I think is a very motivating tool to keep us focused on the work we want to do.
Yeah. So the manifesto that I was talking about, I have one for finding a new apartment, and I have one for finding my ideal partner. And that has been actually very helpful because, as we know, dating, oh my God,
Let's not even go
it is,
there.
it's just soul destroying and annoying.
And
But
exhausting.
even more so when you don't know what you want, because you get roped into these situations where you get all excited and then it all falls flat and you're, every man's an asshole and I hate dating and I'm going to be a nun. Like, no, you're not. You're just not clear on what you want. And my manifesto is 3 pages of 3 columns long of what I'm looking for in a partner. Will I find someone with every single one of those? No. But I know if something they are or do that is going against one of those things, it's an instant no.
Mm.
So if a guy turns up who can't decide where to take me for a date, no, you're not a decision maker. I'm not interested. I'm sick of making decisions.
Yeah.
If you can't work out a coffee shop to take me for a coffee, then this ain't going to work. If you've never traveled, never been overseas, that's not going to work for me. I'm not interested in teaching how to get someone through customs. Things like that. I'm very clear on the person that I want in my life and the why. Always comes back to the why. Why do I want that? Well, not
Mm.
because, you know, I'm looking for someone that is well adjusted and is successful. It's nothing to do with money. I just know that if I'm with someone who's successful, I won't have to put the money up. I'm not going to have to struggle because that's what has been a constant in every other relationship is I've propped him up. And I don't want to do that anymore. I'm happy to prop myself up. I don't need someone to do it for me, but I don't want to have to prop anybody else up either. So that's an important thing for me. Someone else might look at that and go, well, you're just a gold digger. No, I'm looking after myself. I can make my own money, but he has to also make his own money. I'm not interested in doing it again for somebody else. I live my life the way I live it because I want to live it this way. Someone else has to match that. It's as simple as that. But if you're not conscious of that, then you're going to get it. Because if you don't ask, or if you don't ask correctly, that's what the universe will give you.
Mm-hmm.
So that we don't use words like don't or can't, because your subconscious doesn't recognize those either. So instead of saying doesn't smoke, you would say has fresh breath and healthy lungs. Not saying they don't smoke,
Mm-hmm.
but I also know that I will not date a smoker. So I don't need to say doesn't smoke. I want them, though, to have fresh breath and healthy lungs. No smoker is going to have that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care how many times they brush their teeth. It ain't happening. So being very specific, like with my new apartment, I've put the budget, I've put the location, I've put how many bedrooms, what the outside looks like. Does it have a lock-up garage? What else have I put? How many bathrooms?
Mm-hmm.
That I've got good neighbours, that it's a nice street, that the landlord's pleasant, that they won't sell, within 12 months. All the things that have been annoying me about renting, I've put the opposite in so I can manifest it. And if it doesn't hit that, I need to look at, is that a deal breaker for me?
Mm-hmm.
Or can I accept it? Is it a nice to have or an essential? So that's what with actually creating something, creating this list of non-negotiables makes boundary setting so much easier, rejection a lot easier as well. I have no bones saying no to men or not feeling like I'm a nice person because I say no. It's like, mate, you are not a match for me. Absolutely not a match for me. I went on a date with a guy twice who took me to the same place twice, who ate the same thing twice. That does not work for me. It was a pub. I like to go to nice restaurants with my friends and try new food. And he was not, I'm a creature of habit. Not for
I like
me.
a match.
That's not going to work for me. But I know that. So why try and force something that's just not going to work?
Interesting. I like how it comes full circle because you have to know what you want. You
Yeah.
have to know, I'm going to go with the positive words, what you want, not what you shouldn't have or you need to get out,
Yeah.
what you want, and create that for yourself. Have a clear understanding to be able to manifest it, to be able to take the action steps towards it, and to be able to motivate yourself through the affirmations. So in the Feng Shui world at home, you have to understand yourself and what you're trying to get out that and have that clear concept to be able to manifest it, to be able to have the affirmations. And then outside of the home, those same tools that will help you create the right home to support you, you can
Yeah.
then use for other things you're doing in life. So it's an interesting way of coming full circle and looking at this as more than just going back to what we said at the beginning. It's not about just moving some furniture and adding some color and putting some trinkets. It's a very intentional, strategic
Absolutely.
process based on deep analysis and
Yeah.
then serious thought about what you truly want and how you're going to get there and how are you
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah. So when it comes to relationships, if you are struggling in a relationship, have a look at your bedroom. What
Hmm.
is your bedroom saying about your relationship? Is it supporting it or is it hindering it? Do you have images of your children in your bedroom? Because if you do, that will be affecting your sex life. Do you
Yeah.
want your kids in your room with you all the time? No. You should have photos of you and your partner together in a happy moment and not a moment where you had a fight 5 minutes before and you took this happy snap because you'll always remember that fight. That's how deep it can go.
Mm-hmm.
What is actually in that room? What was happening at that time? We one of my colleagues, her name's Suzanne as well. She does a bit of real estate on the side, and I was staying with her in the UK. And on the Saturday, she went to work and did some open homes, and she came home and she said, "Guess what I saw today?" I said, "Don't know." She goes, "Well, the couple are getting divorced." I said, "Okay." She said, "Guess what I saw in the bedroom?" I said, "Three love hearts." She went, "How did you know?" I said, "Because he's had an affair, hasn't he?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Well, three hearts in the bedroom. It's brought a
Wow.
third energy in." So we always have things in pairs, not singles and not in threes.
And it's interesting because what you're also talking about is looking at what you're trying to change in your life and then looking at those spaces in your home. It's not, what you need in the bedroom might be different than what you need in your living room, in your work
Yeah.
office. What's off balance? Where do we need to rebalance? And yeah, it's an interesting concept and trying to look at each space and then the space as a whole, but looking at each of the spaces, starting with the basic strategic things to do and then moving into more complex feng shui strategic
Yeah.
updates and changes to your space. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm curious. So we have a lot of different listeners, women, men, all ages.
Yeah.
And we talked about a lot of different bits of advice through all the stories. I've learned a lot. I've gotten a lot of advice. I'm looking around my space and already thinking, how do we balance this a little bit? What advice do you have for our listeners? Anything that we haven't discussed in terms of advice for those who, after this episode, might look around at their home and say, how can my home support me better?
Okay. So I'm no Marie Kondo, but decluttering is important. And decluttering things that bring absolutely no joy to your life, they've got to go. So if you've been gifted stuff for Christmas that you're like, well, why did I get this? Get rid of it, move it on. It is no one's business what someone does with an item once you've gifted it to them. Move it on. If you don't like it, move it on. Um, if you're if you're if your home is feeling off and you keep going and buying trinkets and throw cushions and uh, blankets to try and make yourself feel better, and all you're achieving is making it look like a homeware store, stop. That's not going to work. Adding stuff is not going to work. You need to take away. And if you feel like you're doing that constantly because something feels off, it is off. And it needs balancing. So get rid of it all for a start. Start with a clean slate. Less is actually more, unless you're using all the throw rugs. I mean, I watch TikTok, and I went to Target in the US the other month, and I'm like, I don't see why everyone's obsessed with it. It's just full of unnecessary junk to me. Yes, we all love a fluffy throw rug, but well, not me in Queensland and Australia, it's too hot. But you know, just stop adding things that really are just doing nothing but reducing your bank balance. If it feels off, it is off for a reason. We need to balance it. And it's a lot easier than what you might think. Just be very conscious of your surroundings. Like if you've got a lot of clutter in a particular area, that's usually where the energy is stagnant. So space clearings, do a little saging if you need to. But it's nothing you're doing or not doing that's creating you any problems. It's your house not supporting you. It's as simple as that.
I definitely need to do that. And I like how you talk about stop adding so much. I feel that a good place to start is to simplify and then see what truly provides the right balance and creates the right supportive home in each of the rooms.
I mean, I would always recommend moving house, because once you do that, you realize, why don't I need all this stuff?
I think that's a good way to spring clean too. So if we're not able to move from our spaces, going one room a week maybe, and
Start with your knicker. I start with my knicker drawer. Start with your knicker drawer.
And get rid of what you don't need from there, and then move on. But pretend you're moving.
All the sales are on. Go and buy yourself some sexy undies and get rid of the old ones.
That's not a bad idea. I do enjoy it. I think part of it, and this is the manifestation, the vision board, the affirmation, and then those action steps in the manifestation. Yes, I want to declutter. Just like you said, let's start one drawer at a time. But if it's truly a goal, I got to make sure that every week there's a day or two that I'm doing that in a room, that I'm truly taking the time out, block it on my calendar, put it as a task for the week and actually get it done. Because a lot of times we keep saying, oh, in 2024, I'm going to do this. And 2024, it's like 2 weeks left of 2024, and I might not have even opened the drawer yet and cleared it.
Now we're about to move into a new era, and the next 20 years is going to be an incredible 20 years, especially for middle-aged women. So I'm very excited, and some amazing things will come out of 2024. So the year of the dragon and moving into cycle 9. So it's going to be a very interesting time.
Interesting. And cycle 9 meaning?
So we work in 20-year cycles, and we're just about to leave cycle 8 into cycle 9. So cycle 9 is the end of the line, and then we go back to cycle 1. And cycle 9 is basically the rising femme. So there'll be a lot more female leaders.
Very interesting. I need to do a little more research in this area as well.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I mean, thank you so much, because you've given us great advice, great tips. You taught us about Feng Shui, about vision boarding with clear manifestos and action steps, affirmations. Again, advice and some tips of how we can get started. And for our listeners, we're going to have all these resources in the actual description, as well as links to a few resources and the website, which I think is an amazing website. The energy that comes out the moment you open that website truly made my day a lot better. Just trust me, there's positive energy, strong energy. And I think a lot of what we're talking about is energy as well today. So you'll be able to see that in the description. And Suzanne, do you have any final thoughts or anything else you want to say as we wrap up the interview today?
I'm always open with someone reaching out if they've got any questions. I'm not one of those people that go, oh, contact my assistant. No, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm here to answer anything that you might have in the best possible way.
Well, thank you. And we're going to have a lot of that contact information and social media information in the episode description for our listeners as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. Again, for all the great advice, the case studies for the advice, the stories, and all the tips to help us in trying to create a supportive home for a more successful 2024 for all of us. Thank you so much, Susan, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for listening.